I'm in Salad, and I saw The Brown Bunny. It is written and directed by Vincent Gallo, and if you haven't seen this movie, I will spoil it for you. This is requested by a Patreon. If you'd like to fast-track a movie review, you can do that at patreon.com/ASEPresents, and on with the review. The movie starts, we're following Bud. He's driving around in a van, and also this is very, very slow. So I was watching, and I'm like, oh man, I'm kind of... gosh. Okay, I can really tell that this movie is going to really drag on because it's honestly, like, the first, 5 minutes, it's, really slow. Only, kind of one thing happens, and then basically he goes to this lady friend. Well, not even, a lady friend. He doesn't even know her. Goes to, a gas station and is like, oh, hey, do you want to go on a little drive with me? And she's like, I don't really know you. And then he's like, pretty please, 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 please. He keeps saying please, and apparently saying please multiple times works. And then what's interesting is that they have a nice little chill time. They're like, oh my goodness, we're hanging out. And she actually kind of likes him. That's nice. That's endearing. And then he drops her off home. I'm like, okay. All right, and then he keeps on driving. He goes to his ex-girlfriend's place, his parents' place, and there's a brown bunny there. That's the only time there's a brown bunny from what I remember of watching this movie. That's it. That's the brown bunny, and they're talking, and it's honestly really awkward. It's like, oh, how you guys been? It's like, oh, we've broken up. And they're like, oh, oops. And then he's like, okay, I gotta go drive again. I gotta do some more driving. How about I drive to Las Vegas and let me pick up a prostitute and feed her McDonald's. And then drops her off again. I'm like, dude, what is happening? Okay? Oh boy. And then he goes to Daisy's place and he thinks it's abandoned and he decides to go in. I'm like, bro, she didn't invite you. It's kind of weird. But whatever, it's just kind of weird to just go into somebody's house uninvited, but he does. And then who is there? Daisy. Daisy's there. Wow, and they have... What's insane is this movie was pretty much oh man, there's nothing... I'm not going to say there's nothing there. It's just so slow that it feels like any new information, I'm like, oh, thank God there's new information. And then 5 minutes later, I'm like, oh, new information, yes. This is a movie that you gotta be really in the vibe for. You gotta be really high to watch this movie. If you're sober watching this movie, I don't think you enjoy this. It's kind of an infuriating watch, but I do really appreciate the shots. There's this one particular shot, and I thought, oh man, this must be very artistic. This is very artistically on purpose. A lot of the shots seem to be very, very on purpose. Closed in on his face. It's not showing his entire face while on screen. It's more. There's more car shot of him than his face in this particular scene where he keeps coming in and out of his car, and it's man, I wonder why it's so closed up like that. And I think it's because he's so closed in with himself. He has a lot of emotions. And then whenever he meets chicks, the framing of the shot is oh, she's has a lot of open room around her, and there's a lot of openness, so she's more open, and them interacting, I'm okay, I wonder how these chicks will imprint on him. And also, as the movie gets later and later, the shots become more give him more room in his the face. In the face shots give him more room for me to see his entire face, so that's nice. I was also talking about the shot earlier. Speaking of closed in, so there's a shot where it's this van, and it's the van is almost in the horizon line, and he doesn't break the horizon line at all. And I thought this was a really cool shot because I think it's also very artistic. He's kind of closed in his own world. I got that vibe from the use of the shots to accentuate himself, his personality. He's definitely a more closed off guy. And so I found that to be interesting. But very final last thing happens. There's a scene where this lady, frickin' Daisy, performs fellatio, and it's full-on fellatio. I can see this guy's wiener and everything. I'm like, whoa, I wasn't expecting this. Wow. After just him not hooking up with any women at all. I'm like, oh my goodness. He's doing it. Good job. I think at that moment, I'm like smiling with a big grin on my face. I'm like, this is worth it. This is worth it. Man, I thought this movie was like weird and artsy, but I was kind of getting, I was okay with it. And then this scene happened. I'm like, yeah, it really brought me back. I was honestly pretty on the fence with this movie. I'm not gonna lie. So, here's how I watched the movie. For the first 50 minutes, I watched it normal speed because I was like, I'm going to experience it. And then I was like, oh man, this is really slow. I'm going to crank it up 2 times speed. And at 2 times speed, I honestly enjoyed the movie more twice speed than like normal speed. So I honestly, that's just what I just wanted to mention that because I think I like the movie faster. When the movie was going faster, I was like, okay, I'm really actually liking this. I feel like the movie should be twice as fast than it is originally. But the acting, it's kind of falls flat. Like, a lot of the acting is kind of like I'd say monotone and not a lot of emotion. I mean, I get the not of a lot of emotion from Bud, but from every other chick, they're kind of also not really having a lot of emotion. I mean, I guess they're emotionally distraught, especially Daisy. But the other chicks, I don't really expect them to be that emotionally distraught, but I mean, the prostitute was honestly fine. I liked her performance. Her eating McDonald's, and she's like, all right, I guess I'll take some of your food. Honestly, when she was like talking to Bud and like she was like, you know, I only get paid, right? I take money. I'm like, take the food because food costs money, and you don't know when another person will come to you and offer you free McDonald's, and you don't even have to have sex with them. Good job. You did it. Good. You got to eat without having sex. You should be grateful that you got McDonald's. But anyway, that's just how I feel about this movie. This movie overall is slow. It's really slow. Again, you gotta be high to watch it. Otherwise, I kind of didn't like the slowness of the movie, and I really liked the end scene where his wiener gets sucked. I really liked that. So I guess before the wiener sucking scene, I would give this movie probably a 4, but like with the wiener sucking scene, I'd give it like a 5.2. So I gotta give this movie a solid 5.2 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. The algorithm really likes that. If you want to fast track a movie review, you can do that for $20 deals at patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you'd like to help support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews, go to this link tree. And until next time, Mint Salad Saw. I'll see you later to my sour croutons and bacon bits.